'Twas the night after Christmas. Everyone is merry with glee, shooting the shit, opening presents, and burning a few Christmas trees. Everyone fucking loves the holidays. Well, everyone but me. Putting up with people's bullshit is why there's booze in my coffee. But I do love me some eggnog and a few movies that give me the feels. So here's an R-rated Christmas episode of Deezus Take the Reel. Yes, guys, as you can see, I am feeling the holiday spirit still. This is the day after Christmas edition of Deezus Take the Reel. I am your boy, Devon Taylor, aka Deezus. This is not a religious podcast. This is a podcast where we talk movies, we talk life. So unless movies are your religion, consider me your Lord and Savior. How is everyone doing on this holiday? After holiday weekend, but it is in between New Year's Eve, so this is still a holiday week. My name is Devon. This is my podcast, Deezus Take the Reel, where we have weird conversations about movies, about life, and we kind of just relate it back in weird and funny ways, and that's what we're doing today with Christmas movies. Now, let me start off by saying, for those of you who know me, I'm kind of a Scrooge. I don't really like holidays in general. And Christmas, it's not so much that I don't like it, per se. Because I like what Christmas stands for, but I don't like what Christmas has become. I'm very cynical in that fashion on, where we are at today and today's culture and what we've done with the holiday of Christmas, or any other holiday for that matter, because people just tend to use holidays as an excuse to be fake, to pretend to be nice, which is a thing they could have been doing this entire year. Gifts that you give people, that you give to them to show them that you care, that you know them very well, you come up with a gift yourself, not just handing somebody a list and saying, this is what I want for Christmas, just go ahead and give me this, and then you open your presents, and that's what you got, and you're like, hey, you got everything on my list, that means you love me more, right? So I am a little bit cynical about Christmas, but I'm pretty cynical about everything. So I'm still going to do an after Christmas special. This is just one day after Christmas, and I'll be talking about some of my favorite Christmas movies, Christmas traditions that involve movies with me, memories about movies I've seen on Christmas, but also because this is a solo show, I will be doing a Netflix and roast, but I'll be doing it a little bit different since this is the Christmas episode. What I'll be doing is, I can't guarantee that these are all on Netflix, but I will be talking about movies, Christmas movies that have a weird premise if you think about it. That's a very long title for this segment, so it's still going to be called Netflix and Roast anyways. I'm sure at least half of these are on Netflix, so we will go ahead and dive into that real quick. But before we get into the meat of the show, just some maintenance, some quick reminders, guys. There were no iTunes reviews this week, so I don't have any to read. But what I will tell you, just as I mentioned at the beginning of every show, rating and reviews on iTunes help out the show big time. They help me out big time. And they also just make me feel good, They kind of make my day whenever I wake up and see those. So if you rate me 5 stars and write me a nice little review on iTunes, I will read it on the next week's episode. I will give you a shout out on Twitter. I'll give you all the loves if you give me the loves. You feel me? And episodes will be every Tuesday of Deezus Take the Reel. We are now I have this on iTunes. You can catch this on my YouTube channel, Deezus Live. You can catch this on Google Play Music, Stitcher, and Spreaker. And I will be having some more platforms coming soon because I want this show everywhere. I want to take over the internet airwaves. I want to seep into everybody's ears, and I want to take over the world that way. All hail Deezus. But yes, like I said, I want everyone to hear, and let's get some swell going. Let's talk about this. Tweet me at Deezus12. Tweet me about the show. Tweet me about movies you're watching, or just tweet me just because you feel like it. Because I want to be interactive with you guys. I want to know who is actually listening, and I want to be able to converse with you guys. So just be looking out on my Twitter at Deezus12 for any updates related to the podcast or my YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and get into the first segment of this solo show. We are doing Netflix and Roast. This is a segment I introduced last week where I pick a really bad movie to roast on Netflix. However, like I said, this is the Christmas special. This is a little bit different. So I've gathered a short list of movies that are Christmas movies. Some of these are Christmas classics, but if you really think about it, are kind of creepy because I think the whole idea of Santa Claus in general is kind of creepy. My kids will not believe in Santa Claus. I'm sorry. You can judge me all you want, but I am not telling my kids about a fake fat man that slides down your fucking chimney and eats your cookies and leaves you random shit. That doesn't make any sense. That's really fucking creepy. I don't play that. So, I inherently think that a lot of Christmas movies, when you break down the premise, are kind of weird or kind of creepy. But we let it slide because the holidays, everything's happy, everything is smiles. So we let it slide even if it is a little weird. Well, not today because I've fucking caught you Christmas movies. So these are a few Christmas movies that I've realized are a little bit weird when you really think about it. So, first up on this list is 2 movies technically, but I'm just going to keep them as one because one, they are pretty much the exact same movie with the exact same premise, and so I'm not going to take up 2 spots. I will just talk about them together. And this is a movie I think is just kind of overrated in general. It's a 90s classic. It's Home Alone, and it's a sequel, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. We all know the premise of this movie, and it's kind of fucking nuts. So these horrible parents, these are horrible parents. They leave their kids behind because they're trying to rush off to get to their Christmas plans. Well, I see one problem with that off the bat is nobody is in a rush to get to their Christmas plans, okay? Nobody is in a rush to try and get to these awkward holiday gatherings, and you're not going to leave your kid behind because you want your kid to endure that shit with you. So for many reasons, these parents, they really suck at being parents, and they're not really a real family because they just did it all wrong. So they leave their kid behind, who is getting stalked by 2 dudes that want to break into the house. Why? I don't really remember, because are they really rich, or do they have some jewels or something, or did they just know that the kid was alone and they thought it might be fun? I don't know. I haven't watched this movie in a while. And then Home Alone 2, these parents, they do it again. They leave their kid behind. And then, again, he has to fend off some thugs that are trying to, kill him, I guess. And guess what? The second one takes place in New York. Okay, these thugs are a whole different breed than the bullshit he was dealing with in the first movie. But then again, let's flip the script here. Macaulay Culkin's character, don't know his name off the top of my head, but his character, this little kid is a murderer. He is the next Wayne Gacy or, Y2K. No, I can't think of any killers off the top of my head right now. I'm not very well versed in my serial killers. But this kid is a stone cold killer, and his horrible parents are the ones to blame for that. So I think Home Alone 1 and 2, I think they're both a little bit overrated anyways, but are just kind of weird when you really think about it. Next up, I have Fred Claus. You remember the classic Fred Claus, don't you? No, of course you don't. I almost forgot about this movie until I Googled Christmas movies so I could pick which ones I was going to talk about. And then I went, oh yeah, that movie's real fucking weird if you think about it. So Fred Claus is definitely a movie that I forgot about. It came out back in 2007, back when people were putting Vince Vaughn in everything. Yes, 10 years ago, that was a very short amount of time. How things have changed in 10 years because Vince Vaughn hasn't been put in anything these days. But at this time, Vince Vaughn was a very hot commodity, so they threw him in a movie called Fred Claus. And Fred Claus is about the delinquent little brother of Saint Nick. Because, there were two Claus brothers. One of them goes on to be a global icon that brings cheer to the world. And the other one got caught up in, gambling and something with reindeers. Yeah, I totally forgot about this movie. But think about this. This movie had Vince Vaughn, Paul Giamatti, Elizabeth Banks, Rachel Weisz. You'd think with a cast like that, I would remember this movie, or anybody would remember this movie. Well, nobody did. It was not exactly the Christmas classic that people thought it was going to be, but pretty much Santa Claus, his workshop, gets a evaluator. He essentially gets a health inspector over to his workshop or whatever to decide if Santa Claus is up to code, and if he is still up to code to bring kids cheer and shit. You really think the health inspector was going to shut down Santa Claus's workshop and he needed to call in his delinquent brother for help? That doesn't even sound weird. That movie's just bullshit because it would never happen. So yes, that is the 2007 classic Fred Claus. And then another Claus-related movie is, you guessed it, the Tim Allen classic, The Santa Claus. Now, the Santa Claus franchise is an interesting one because there are 3 of them, and the second and third are both better than the first one. The second and third one are actually way different than the first one, but they kind of continue the mythology, and they take it in a really interesting way. But you want to know how the Santa Claus franchise got its start? So pretty much Tim Allen's character murders Santa Claus by accident by pushing him off the roof. Well, guess what? Santa Claus knew some shit like this was going to happen because Santa Claus is a gangster, and in his rule book, because, people have those just carrying around in their jacket, but in the rule book it states whoever kills Santa Claus has to now become Santa Claus. So Santa Claus is out there blackmailing murderers from beyond his grave. That is nuts. And then Tim Allen's character goes through this horrific transformation over a matter of months where he just starts gaining drastic weight and his facial hair turns white and his beard grows uncontrollably. It's pretty much The Fly, but Christmas edition. The Santa Claus is a very weird movie, but its sequels were actually a lot better. The Santa Claus 2 is a really good one, and then the Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, actually pretty solid as well. But the first one, the Santa Claus franchise, did have a very rocky start with the Santa Claus. And now, lastly, the last Christmas movie that I absolutely love just riffing on, because, guys, this movie is fucking weird. The Polar Express. Everyone was thinking it whenever I started this list. I know you were, because this movie is weird. The first time we saw it as a kid, we're like, whoa, this is kind of crazy. And it's like going on a ride, because it was a Robert Zemeckis movie, animated film that he made, starring Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is doing his best Eddie Murphy, because he voices like 8 different characters in this movie. And basically, the Polar Express is about this train that picks up sad children and takes them to the North Pole on Christmas. Like I said, the idea of Santa Claus in general is already kind of creepy. It's a guy that breaks into your house and leaves shit after he eats your cookies. And we let him do this. Well, think about this. The Polar Express, we take it a step further. Sure, Santa, you can not only come into my house and leave shit for my kids while they're sleeping, you can take some of those kids up to the North Pole if you want. Take them up there on a train with no adults. There's a creepy train car that has dead toys on it that speak to people. There's a hobo that lives on the fucking roof that teaches little kids how to ski on the top of trains. What? This movie is absolutely batshit crazy. Tom Hanks as the conductor is uber creepy. The animation for this film, so this film was made for 3D. It was supposed to be this Robert Zemeckis 3D Christmas experience extravaganza. It was supposed to blow people's minds. Well, it would blow people's minds if the animation in this that make these kids look like weird clay monsters. The animation for this is so creepy, and the kids' faces don't move, and the mouths barely talk whenever they speak, and it's just the weirdest thing. Everything is animated in this very awkward fashion. I don't know. This movie is crazy weird. And like I said, the scene where they go into the train car of all the dead toys or whatever is fucking terrifying and comes out of nowhere in this film. But overall, the premise of the Polar Express is weird. The movie itself is very weird. Tom Hanks playing way too many people. I'm already not a Tom Hanks fan. Kill me if you'd like. But Tom Hanks is already too much for me. 1 Tom Hanks as a movie is too much for me. So 7 Tom Hanks, I will pass. 7 Tom Hanks in a Christmas movie? Shoot me. I don't want it in my life. The Polar Express is a super weird movie when you think about it. And that will do it for this segment of Netflix and Roast. I haven't checked to see which of those 4 are actually on Netflix, but I'm sure at least 3 of those should be on Netflix, especially around this time. And if you want to watch them, go ahead, you fucking weirdo. Yeah, man, there's some weird Christmas movies out there. There's some real creepy ones. That segment just got me real hype. Just need to take a little breather for a sec. At first, whenever I started doing this podcast, I was really weird about my ghetto setup, especially whenever I was having guests over to record it, because obviously this is an audio podcast. You can't see where I'm recording, but I'm sitting on the floor on a couch cushion I have my little Spider-Man table with all my mic and mixer stuff on it, and I'm recording into my closet, and it's very ghetto looking, like very ghetto looking, but it's super comfy. I think it works for the vibe of this podcast. It makes it a little bit more chill. And if you guys could like see my spread though, like the way I record, because I just have like wires wrapped around my legs. I got recorder in one hand, iPod in the other hand, got my laptop out, and I'm currently drinking wine and coffee with Bailey's in it. And then I got my little steamroller loaded up. I have quite the spread going on. So as you can see, I'm definitely feeling the holiday spirit, which is why for one time and one time only, I will be discussing some of my favorite Christmas movies, because like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Christmas, but I am a big fan of movies. So of course, I do have my Christmas movies that I do like to watch whenever the time comes around, because if I'm going to have to endure Christmas, I'm going to endure it my way. So first of all, I'll tell you about my family's tradition. So every year for Christmas, we do the exact same thing. We wake up, we open up our presents, we eat ourselves a big old breakfast, and then everyone stays in their pajamas or their bum clothing, and then we go see a movie together. That's our routine every single Christmas, and we do all this in the morning, and then in the afternoon, everybody kind of does their own thing. And that's something I look forward to every year. We have done it every year. Last year, I was not home for Christmas, so I did not go to the movies that year. But I remember the year before that, it was Big Eyes. The year before that, though, so I will do story time a little bit early in this podcast episode, because since I'm already on the subject. So 2013, Christmas of 2013, The Wolf of Wall Street came out on Christmas. Now, I didn't really know a whole lot about the movie at the time whenever it came out. I was 19, still an adult, and I remember everyone was sick that year, so it was just me and my sister Mia. We went to see The Wolf of Wall Street on Christmas, and my sister is younger than me. She is almost 18 now, but at the time of this movie, she was only 15, and 3 years makes a big difference, because she's already the most innocent of any of my sisters, and at this point, her freshman year of high school, she literally knew nothing. So this movie was quite the experience, as you can imagine. Not only do I have to endure watching a movie where there's boobs, there's prostitutes, there's midgets being thrown onto a dartboard, there's people doing ridiculous amounts of drugs that I didn't even know existed. All the meanwhile, I'm watching it with my 15-year-old little sister, and we had to endure 2 hours and 45 minutes of that. Now, don't get me wrong, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. I absolutely fucking love The Wolf of Wall Street, but man, that was a very weird Christmas experience. We come back home, and everybody's like, oh, how was the movie? And my sister is just straight traumatized. Her eyes are so big, and I was like, Dad, that was a mistake. Fantastic movie, but that was a mistake. It was super weird. But yeah, it's something that we do every year, because, movies have always been a big part of my life. They've always been a big part of my family dynamic. So it's a tradition that we love doing. This year, I had a very solid day of movies this year for Christmas. So for our tradition, we woke up, we did our presents, we ate our breakfast, and then we went and saw Why Him, the new James Franco, Bryan Cranston raunchy Christmas comedy, which I'm glad we got another one of this year. Last year we got The Night Before, which I actually consider a Christmas classic. I know it just came out last year, and it was a super raunch fest comedy film, but it was a Christmas movie, and it had Christmas themes to it. And Why Him was no different. Why Him was another very raunchy comedy. It was super funny. It's one of the better comedies we've had this year. This year has been a pretty disappointing year for comedies, but Why Him was a pleasant surprise. I love James Franco. I love Bryan Cranston. And I was honestly not expecting it to be as good as it was. This movie, not only was it pretty hilarious, but it had some real grounded characters. James Franco's character in particular, they really fleshed out a ridiculous character at that, too. The fact that they were able to have this character with this ridiculous personality. He's a super out there free spirit. He's a heightened version of an app developer out in LA, so it's kind of poking fun at today's society of people getting rich and having success online through online mediums, whether it be YouTube or developing apps or whatever. So they're kind of poking fun at that. His character is super wild, ridiculous. He is very honest. He has no filter. But they managed to like give him a very nice character. They gave him a good background. They gave him a good character arc amidst all the shenanigans going on in this movie. Because trust me, lots of hilarious shenanigans ensue. It is Bryan Cranston. He goes out to California to meet his daughter's girlfriend. Him and the daughter were pretty close, apparently. They keep saying how close they were, but we never really saw that. But anyways, they go to meet her boyfriend, who she did not tell was a rich, crazy LA app developer. So it's a very good movie, though. The only thing it suffers from was it actually had these like ridiculous comedy moments that they didn't need to go to. They tried going to weird and over-the-top levels, but most of the dialogue in this film and the jokes and like the organic comedy or the situational comedy going in the film worked, so they didn't really need to go to this weird level that they went to. But Why Him was a pleasantly good comedy. It's a good Christmas movie. It was a fun movie to watch with the family on Christmas, and I highly recommend it. Check out Why Him. It's definitely towards the top of comedies of the year. Maybe my favorite comedy this year was, like I said, not only very funny, but very well written as well. So I definitely commend it. Check out Why Him in theaters now. So then I went and met up with my other side of my family, and a movie that I was not expecting to be reviewing at all this year, let alone be watching on Christmas, was Trolls. It is one of the latest children comedies. It's Hollywood still trying to make money off of past toys or games after the success of the Lego movie. We really need to stop doing this, and we never knew that we needed a Trolls movie. However, I am glad one exists, and I am glad that it is as ridiculous as this movie is. So guys, the Trolls movie is based on the toy from the 90s, the little troll dolls that had the super tall, colorful hair. You know, there was no backstory or mythology to the trolls. There was no needed to tell their story in the form of a movie, but Hollywood likes to make money, so they figured they could make some more money off this lazily done kids movie. However, like I said, this is another pleasant surprise. This movie was not just a lazy cash grab, I don't think. This movie actually turned out to be very entertaining. It was very clever, but holy shit was this movie just really batshit crazy. And this is the most sexual innuendos I've seen snuck into a kid's movie, like, in a long time, like, since the SpongeBob movie. They smoke so many dirty jokes and dirty humor into this movie. There's no wonder that Anna Kendrick wanted to do this film. Because I was like, Anna Kendrick doing her voice for a kid's film, why would she want to do that? Oh, I know exactly why. Because this script, like I said, it just has so many sexual innuendos in it. And it is ridiculously entertaining. They gave the trolls this elaborate backstory and history, and they actually did it pretty well. But the fact that they're doing this, that they made a world of trolls, it is a musical. There's a lot of music in it, but I like how they also poke fun at that even. Like, there'll be parts where a character will go, really, a song right now? Like, they literally make note that they like to sing songs and that they sing songs at random times. I think that is really funny whenever kids' movies can kind of poke fun at themselves. But overall, I was pleasantly surprised with the Trolls movie. The easiest way to be a successful animated film is not only can you entertain the kids, but you also have enough things to where the adults will be entertained, so that way you hit both ends of the demographic, so that way the kids and the adults are wanting to watch the film. That's the best way to succeed as an animated film. And this movie definitely does that. It definitely gives you bright colors. It gives you fun songs. It gives you funny characters for the kids to be entertained, and a story that they don't really need to pay attention to all that much. But at the same time, whoever wrote this film knew what they were doing. They were definitely targeting the parents for this film, because they put in so many dirty jokes, so many sexual innuendos. I'm not even making this up. There is a character in this film that is a cloud. He might as well have been a cloud straight from a blunt, because they made his eyes like kind of droopy. He was definitely high, like as high as the clouds. I'm pretty sure this was an intentional joke. And he said the most highest things. He's telling people riddles and shit. And there's one part of the movie. Now, trust me, this isn't spoilers or anything. I'm not ruining the movie for you. But there's a scene in this movie where he is giving them a riddle, and there's two pathways, and one pathway leads to their friends that they're trying to save, and the other pathway is the bad pathway. And he pretty much tells them, yeah, I know which one is the correct pathway. And in the movie, Justin Timberlake's troll character is not positive and upbeat like the rest of the trolls. He's a very negative Nancy. So the cloud says, all you have to do is give me a high five. And Justin Timberlake's character refuses to, show affection or anything like that. So he refuses to give the cloud a high five. And the cloud goes through a number of, slang terms for give me a high five, give me some skin up top, blah, 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 party upstairs. And then the cloud, this is a real line in this film, says, a little slappy, make daddy happy. And everyone in the room when we were watching this film, we lost our shits. The fact that they put this in a kid's movie, a movie that is rated PG, and they let that line slide, coming from a super stoned cloud figure in this movie. I loved it. I was like, I love the fact that this movie had the balls to do some of the things that it did in this film. Like I said, it took a lot of shots and knew exactly what it was doing. It made a film that would be entertaining for kids and entertaining for adults alike. And, I was super stoned while I was watching this film, so that might have had some hindering on my enjoyment of the film. But I really like the Trolls film, so check out the Trolls film if you're into kids' movies or whatever. And lastly, the last movie that I saw on Christmas that I have been looking forward to literally for over a year. For about a year and a half, I've been looking forward to this film ever since I heard of its conception. It's La La Land. It is one of the most critically acclaimed movies of the year. It's going to show up on a lot of people's top 10 of the year list. It's going to be number one on a lot of people's list. It's going to win lots of Oscar awards. There had been so much going on with this movie, and it just kept getting hyped up, but it was taking the longest time. Like, it still isn't even showing in Springfield anywhere. I was just waiting for this movie to finally come somewhere near me so I could see this film. And what do you know? It's a Christmas miracle that La La Land was playing in St. Louis whenever we were home. So I was like, yes, I'm going to get to see La La Land on Christmas. It's going to be fucking magical. And guys, this movie does not disappoint. The directed film by Damien Chazelle, he is the one that directed Whiplash a few years ago. His directorial debut burst onto the scene, won a bunch of awards. It was a fantastic film. It was my favorite film of 2014. So I was like, man, I can't wait to see what this guy does next. And then as soon as I heard that it was going to be a modern day musical starring Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, I was in. I've been tracking this movie for a year and a half, tracking its every move, all the buzz from the festivals it's been making, and then it started showing in select cities, and it is still not showing in Springfield, which sucks because I want to see this movie again. Guys, La La Land is exactly what it sounds like. If you love Ryan Gosling, you love Emma Stone, you love them doing movies together, they have this fantastic chemistry, and it's just a musical. It's a musical based in LA, and it is just showing LA life. And that's basically the premise of this movie. It is filled with super authentic jazz music. Ryan Gosling is a fantastic musician. Emma Stone gives the best performance of her career. She could be looking at an Oscar statue this year. Damien Chazelle, this guy is a wizard behind the camera, because this movie literally just takes you on a journey. For 2 hours, you are not in the crazy world. 2016 is coming to a close, and if you need something to redeem your entire year, yes, I said that, go see La La Land, because you will be taken on a journey for 2 hours. You are just transported to this place, into the magical land of LA. You really feel like LA is magical, and you really relate to the things that the characters in this movie are going on. Again, this movie is very reflective on today's society, on, people's need, their urges to want to be famous, but then people's, need and want for love as well. And it's very hard to be in a relationship in Los Angeles, from what I hear. I hear it is very hard to find authentic love. I hear dating in Los Angeles is horrible. And if you want to have hope and love, not only in Los Angeles, but just hope and love in life, like if you just want a movie that's just going to make you feel real happy, even when it makes you feel sad, this movie still manages to make you feel happy, makes you feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside. Everyone needs to go see this movie as soon as it is. I'm sure it's going to get a wide release like here pretty soon. Check out La La Land, guys. Do yourself a favor. It is fantastic. I'm going to see it as many times as I can as soon as it comes into town because this movie is fantastic. It does not take my number one spot of the year, but it did crack my top 5 of the year just as I thought it would be. Ryan Gosling, my boy, has yet to let me down, and La La Land is a fantastic film. So I cannot stress it enough. Go see this film, guys. It's fantastic. So yeah, as you can tell, I loved all 3 of the movies I watched this year on Christmas. I had a very good Christmas this year in terms of movie watching. And yes, I did watch 3 movies, but I did not spend my entire Christmas watching movies. Most of this was watching with my family or my friends. So, I mean, I'm still spending time with it that way. But that's how, how important movies are to me. Movies are very important for my everyday life. And definitely important between me and my family. So movies, that's what this entire show is about, is letting you guys know how movies impact my life and how you can relate movies anywhere, especially in the time of the holidays, because I'm not a big holiday person. So movies are what I still like to do, and I had a very good day watching movies on Christmas. So, if you guys have any Christmas traditions that connect to movies in some way or another, or if you and your family go see movies on Christmas, what are the best movies you have seen on Christmas Day? Shout me out on Twitter at Deezus12, and I will give you guys a shout out on the next show, or on Twitter, one of the two. And just to close out the show, I will talk about my favorite Christmas movies. Now, I have 2 favorite Christmas movies, and I've already talked in full length about one of those. Is my favorite movie of all time, A Nightmare Before Christmas. I will not get back into it. If you have not listened to episode 0 of Deezus Take the Reel, I pretty much spend that podcast talking about why I love The Nightmare Before Christmas so much. And in that episode, I did mention something that I will put to rest. Is A Nightmare Before Christmas a Christmas or a Halloween movie? And the answer is, it is a Christmas movie. Yes, I guess you could technically say it's both, but this is a Christmas movie with Halloween elements. And why is that? So Jack Skellington is essentially the Santa Claus of Halloween. He is the personification of Halloween, and he is taking over Christmas as his own holiday. So not only that, but Jack learns his lessons through the values of Christmas. That is how Jack goes on his character arc, is through the values of Christmas, on what it is, what Christmas is truly about, bringing cheer to other people, not bringing cheer to yourself. It's a kind of a classic EbeDEEZer Scrooge story, because it's pretty much just telling Jack, hey, stop being selfish. Christmas is not about you. Christmas is about everyone else. So A Nightmare Before Christmas is, in fact, a Christmas movie. Even though Henry Selick, the director himself, says it's a Halloween movie, yeah, Henry, you're a fucking liar. A Nightmare Before Christmas is a Christmas movie. However, my next favorite Christmas film, that is, not just my favorite film of all time, is Elf. Elf, I believe, is already a Christmas classic. It came out in 2003, which was 13 years ago. That sounds a lot longer once you actually say it out loud, and I didn't realize how long Elf has been out for. So I think it qualifies. I mean, it's been out for over 10 years now, and this is a seminal Christmas classic. It is Will Ferrell at the top of his comedy game. It was right as he was hitting his prime of his career. So Will Ferrell was real hot, and Elf is a big part of that. Elf also put Zooey Deschanel into people's minds, and it kind of propelled her career forward as well. But Elf is for one, it's a fucking hilarious movie. Elf is one of the funniest movies ever. It's probably one of the most quoted movies around the holiday times. Elf is just it's a fantastic movie. It's a very feel good, heartwarming movie. It's a very innocent film, And it doesn't, bang you over the head with Christmas, even though this entire movie, the premise revolves around Christmas. It's around Christmas time. It's a classic Christmas in New York story. It has elements of Santa Claus and magic in it. However, you still don't feel like you're being beat over the head that, hey, this is a Christmas movie. Watch this movie every Christmas with your family. It doesn't bang you over the head with it. It's just like, yeah, this is a movie that takes place on Christmas. And it's a movie that I can watch, not only around Christmas time. Like, this is a movie I can watch at any time and I will still laugh because the movie is just funny. It doesn't rely on Christmas or the holiday to be a good film. It's just a good film. So that is why I love Elf so much, because it's a movie that I don't have to just watch around the holidays, because I just like to watch good movies whenever I want. So if I want to watch a good movie that just happens to be Christmas related, I can watch Elf at any time, but that is why it holds up as my favorite Christmas movie, besides, Avi, A Nightmare Before Christmas. But Elf, a very close second on my Christmas movies ranking. It definitely beats out Gremlins and Die Hard, and I do like Jim Carrey's version of A Christmas Carol. That movie has been done so many times. Like, how many times has that movie been made? There has to be at least 12 of them. 12 Days of Christmas, 12 A Christmas Carols. Let's see, you got the Jim Carrey version. There's a Ben Kingsley version. There's a black hip-hop version with Brandy. Man, there are so many different versions of that movie. There's Scrooged with Bill Murray. Man, that movie has been... I think we're due for another one, right? Like, there hasn't been a Christmas Carol movie in at least 5 years. I feel like we're breaking the remake rule. Hollywood, what are you doing? You're slacking. Get on the remake of the Christmas of the next A Christmas Carol. What are you doing? You're slacking on your job. And on that note, I will go ahead and wrap this week's episode up of Deezus Take the Reel. That is this week's episode where we talked my favorite Christmas movies. What are your guys' favorite Christmas movies? Tweet those at me at Deezus12, where you will also find updates on the show. And just follow me on Twitter, because I like to talk to you anyways. You can hear the podcast every Tuesday on iTunes, on YouTube, on Spreaker, on Google Play Music, on Stitcher, and on Spreaker. Be rating and reviewing. I will catch you guys later.